I'm Bertil van Vugt. I work at VC4Africa, and I'm the business development lead there.
Welcome to the African Tech Roundup, Bertil.
Thank you very much. I'm a big fan. I'm listening every week.
Thank you. That's very kind. You guys, of course, are friends of the show. I just wanted you to give me a sense of what's trending in terms of this particular conference relative to other conversations you've heard recently about the tech ecosystem on the continent and, what needs to happen in order for it to grow and, who needs what. What are you sensing at this particular juncture at this particular event?
Yeah, it's something I've been thinking about today, listening to the different panels and also participating in panels and a workshop I hosted, is that I think that at this point in time, people start to realize that the African tech ecosystem, it's quite a big word, but that we are still so very early days. And I think that in the real early days, I'm talking like 5 years back, nobody really realized that. It was all about the hype, and it was all about, there are these companies and there's M-Pesa and there's investments being made and all that. But I think that now, after like maybe 7-8 years down the line, people start to realize that Silicon Valley was built in 50 years, right? So you cannot just get an investment ecosystem and a startup ecosystem pop up like that. It takes time, and we're seeing progress for sure. It was mentioned today so many times that iHub was founded in 2011, and since then we've seen 200, 300. I don't know what the exact definition is of a incubator or a co-working space, but hundreds of places where African entrepreneurs can come together and build their products together and also learn from each other and all these kind of things. So I think when you ask me, what is the realization of today and the state of where we are at, is that people do realize more and more that it's just the beginning of things. And we recently launched this XL Africa program together with the World Bank, and this is, I think, a next step in that long period where a lot of focus has been on incubators, accelerators, and the first seed financing. And now this program is looking at companies that have gone through these programs and that are scaling or that are looking to scale, but that are struggling to make that happen. And so XL Africa is designed to select the 20 best digital startups from across the continent that have the potential to really scale. And with scale, I mean across borders, even maybe outside of the continent. And this is really exciting because I think it's the first program that is really looking at this segment. And hopefully it will help to get a couple of more bigger funding rounds happen and also to attract other attention, being it from African investors, but also from outside of the continent to make people realize that there's exciting stuff happening. And I heard a panelist say that he was an American guy working in Africa for a long time, and he said only after the Mark Zuckerberg visit to Lagos last year, he got messages from people in Silicon Valley about, hey, what is going on there? So I don't know. For some reason, we have to have a lot of attention from investors from outside, also to make people understand like what's going on across Africa.
Yeah, cue eye roll. Anyway, so this World Bank thing is intriguing. What's the World Bank getting out of it? Because I've got stereotypical ideas of what the World Bank goes about doing and what its agenda or at least its mandate is and that kind of thing. What's the play here in terms of the World Bank, in terms of thinking, and because you don't get more institutional than that in terms of, I think, thinking, approach, reach. So it's fascinating to me that they would be behind a program of this nature, targeting, quite frankly, much lower than what I'd expect the World Bank to have an interest in. What's the play for them, do you think, in this context?
Yeah, I find it hard to answer that question. It's the InfoDev team of the World Bank.
Okay, so that makes more sense, I guess. So InfoDev, if I understand it, are more development oriented.
Yeah, they're more development oriented, and I think that they have also realized this gap in the ecosystem, and they've been looking at how to engage, and maybe this was for them the right moment to step in.
I'm just thinking in terms, okay, now that you mention it that way, I'm trying to draw a line between this idea and perhaps a commercial outcome 5-10 years from now that would definitely play into the more traditional things that the World Bank goes about doing. And help me paint a picture maybe of what that might be if this program is half as successful as we all hope.
Well, I started saying that we are really still in the early days of this whole technology push in Africa, and I think a couple of years from now, hopefully, we'll have seen companies coming out of Africa or outside that have really managed to take those next steps, and therefore also becoming more interesting for the large MFIs and those investment bodies that start to invest from 5 to 10 million. So maybe that is also the long play to help to create the pipeline for those bigger funding institutions.
So you're based in Holland. No, actually, the correct term is the Netherlands, correct?
Yes, the Netherlands, Amsterdam.
So you're based in Amsterdam. I only learned that recently. Apparently, there are people who live outside Holland who feel like, oh, it's more to us than just Holland. Okay, anyway. So, you live in the Netherlands, but give me a sense of where the rest of the world is outside of Africa, where the rest of the world is in terms of this preoccupation with where's the next unicorn going to come from, and how you've seen that play into either interest or disinterest in what we have going or what's starting to become what's becoming a serious sort of tech industry on the continent. So both ways. I figure it can be a rub. It can also be a good thing in terms of like getting interest. But where's it at? Are people? Is that the fascination right now? Where's the next unicorn going to come from?
Yeah, the thing with people is that they always first look at themselves. So there's this big tech conference in Amsterdam. It's called the Next Web, and they position themselves as the European Tech Conference. And they're really mostly talking about Europe and the position of European tech companies versus the American tech companies. And the Netherlands and also Amsterdam is really positioning themselves as a destination for technology companies. There are even tax breaks and startup visas and all these things. So the majority of people who are interested in the startup world, honestly, they're looking at the Netherlands, they're looking at Europe, and they're looking at the US. Maybe it's, you always look up to bigger companies and bigger names and those kind of things. So in general, people are not so interested. When I talk about VC4Africa and the work that we're doing, it's always like, like to the general people I speak to, not to people who know what's going on. But it's not
still a novelty.
Yeah, well, it depends on who you're talking to, of course.
I'd like to know, like, the average sort of
at a birthday, you're just drinking a beer and you're just talking about like, oh, what is it you do to someone you meet randomly there? It's for most people still, and believe me or not, but it's for most people still like startups, Africa.
So unicorns like way out there then, even as a concept from Africa.
Yeah, it's more and more people start to understand that there are opportunities, and it's not just the negative story that has been told for so long. It's not that, but then the startup world is another step. Right.
Okay, so we're happy that this is a place you could raise a family or visit and have a nice holiday and stuff like that. But it's still a bit of a stretch to think of it as the kind of place where you might start a business that goes head to head with Google.
Yeah. I think if you talk about the average person, right? Like there are many people in the Netherlands who fully understand what's going on and who have an interest in it. And especially in Amsterdam, we see quite a community of people who are setting up businesses that are targeting African consumers or African businesses, or even bringing products from Africa to the Netherlands, like Moye Coffee. They're the first sort of value chain. How do they call themselves? Like they say they control the full value chain of the coffee coming from Ethiopia, and they brand themselves like that. So they're paying a fair price to the coffee farmers and all these things. So there is a growing understanding that you can do business there. But I think it in general still a long way to go.
And so in terms of VC for Africa, I mean, just to give context to someone who's not familiar with the work you do, there's obviously this incredible database you guys have of early stage startups, angel investors and VCs that are interested in said startups on the continent, and then all the ways you leverage that database for commercial benefit, and also for the benefit of the community that you manage, right? So there's all of that, and given the infancy of our ecosystem, what are some of the challenges in realizing the potential of that database commercially in your context?
The database is basically the business, right? So we have about 50,000 members. We have around 300 ecosystem organizations who promote their programs and events towards that community. We have investors who are looking for deal flow through the platform. So there are different business models around that.
And you have them all at play at the same time?
So there's a way for organizations to promote what they're doing towards the startup community. And if they want extra attention and direct emails and those kind of things to the people that should hear about it, there's a fee for that. And then also on the investor side, they pay a monthly fee to get access to the deal flow that they're interested in. And they can download documents of these startups and read more about them. And if they're still interested, they can just contact the entrepreneurs. And
you guys have so far not been tempted to sort of tap into deals yourselves, or you've stayed away from that for now?
Yeah, we're not a fund ourselves. So we really see ourselves as a ecosystem convener to bring people together and to offer the tools to discover. And that's why we are there. Another component, something that we have been wanting to build for a long time, is this online learning environment on VC4Africa, because we have a lot of programs that we are part of ourselves, like Excel Africa, but also our partners are promoting their programs through us, and the applications go through the VC4A platform. And in the end, you only have maybe 10 or 15 or 20 companies who are selected into the program. And the other couple hundred that applied, they don't make it into the program for all kinds of reasons, because they weren't far enough, or just their competitors were better, or there are all kinds of reasons. But the story ended there. They filled the application, they didn't make it, that was it. And so we have been building this online learning curriculum on how to start your business, how to grow your business, and how to finance your business in the African context. And of course, African context is still very broad, and it's very different in all these different markets. But if you look at what you can find online on YouTube today, it's mainly focused on the US. And so we thought, let's create a curriculum that is more tailored towards African startup entrepreneurs, but not only do that, also interview investors and entrepreneurs and people working for incubators and accelerators across the continent to hear their expert insights and their opinions about the topics that we discuss. So we're about to launch this new section on the platform, where entrepreneurs can come in without any charge and go through the materials and step in at the point where they are. If they are looking to raise funding, they can go right away to the Finance Your Business section, and there they learn about just the basics. I think when we talk to investors, often they say, particularly for early stage companies, is that they don't really know all the terms. They get lost quite fast, and then the investor has to educate the entrepreneur on how this process works.
Incidentally, I was speaking to a Dutch VC, so a guy called Alad Luchinger, and he was actually speaking to this point where his VC Velocity Capital has recently invested into African businesses, relatively recently anyway, and he was just talking about how many deals fell through because founders weren't adequately prepared to interact with investors that came from abroad and required a certain level of grasp of certain fundamentals, terminology, even sometimes, and that it can often be a problem, particularly with startups that are looking for love abroad. And yeah, so it was interesting to me, and it occurred to me when you guys first pitched this idea, because we had a conversation about it. Heads up, everybody, I'm involved, and so that I thought, is there really a need? Who's this really helping? All the sort of tough, meaningful, quote unquote, meaningful questions I ask, anybody on the show. And I was like, is there really a need for this? And I have to say, I think you guys are onto something, not just because I'm involved, but I do think even with the model you guys have built, this idea that it will be a growing body of work, I think is fantastic and much needed.
Well, thank you. We hope that people appreciate it, and that it will help them to have maybe more even conversations. And like I say, there are many people out there who already know all of that because they've just studied it and they had a couple of conversations. But there are also many people who haven't. And just to get the basics and understand the differences between debt and equity, and what is a convertible note, and what can you expect in a term sheet, and all these basic things. I'm not saying like we're teaching something totally revolutionary that was never done before.
It's not a degree program, folks.
No, it's not. But it will give people a better understanding on the basics of, also in the Start Your Business chapter, where we're talking about why it is important to have a co-founder, right? And also this is you can also find that somewhere else. But to hear investors in the African space to say these things as well, to say, like if there's one guy pitching to me and he's saying that he's doing it alone, I'm basically already switched off, because I'm that's not what I do. I don't invest in a single person, because if something happens to that person, then the company is gone, basically. So yeah, there are lessons there that can really help people who are starting their business and who are growing their business to be better prepared.
Okay, so to round this off, though, I'm curious to know, like, what trend you're most excited about at the moment. I ask this question a lot, but it's usually a great way to get inside someone's head, at least heart sometimes, in terms of tech and the industry and what gets them going. So, what's within the context of Africa and all the potential that exists within this within our context? What's exciting you the most? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a terribly lucrative trend. Maybe it's just something you like.
Well, having worked on this online academy, I've also been looking at other online learning models across the world, but also in Africa and Asia and others. And I think that is really an interesting topic. And some people have said that also globally, online learning is the next big thing, because it's happening and it's successful in Coursera and EDX and all of those, but not one single player has really figured it out. like what is really working best, how do people learn on the go, and what is the different what are the different types of learning blended together that work, and all of that. So I think also in the African context, I will follow closely what is going to happen there in the sort of the online learning space.
I'm kind of watching what the brands are going to do. I mean, the big education brands in the context of what people value with regards to education. And I say this in the context of a continent that still, struggles to educate most of its citizens, and where really an excellent education, even higher education, is really more a luxury than it is a standard state of play for most people. And so in that context, it still kind of matters where you got it, who endorses it, who the degrees from. And I feel like that branding, as long as the strong brands in that space, I feel are going to somehow, this is my sense of it anyway, are going to almost set the pace for its acceptability, its adoption. And that's my sense of it. I mean, the likes of, some of the larger universities or some of the more reputable universities on the continent, for example. I don't know what you think of that.
Yeah, of course, Harvard and MIT are big institutions that people value. But in the end, it's about also building new brands. And it's about finding, offering the content that people are looking for. And
there's actually a platform that puts it very cheekily. I can't get to their name now. Is it Learnly? Or anyway, but their tagline is the internet doesn't care how you became an expert. I believe that.
No, I think so too.
Did I say the internet? I mean, what they say is the future doesn't care how you became an expert.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think you can also just find your own sources and make a combination of different sources to build your expertise. So I don't know. I'm not worried in the sense that, because it's a relatively new company, VC4Africa, people are not going to value the content that we're offering or something like that. Of course, when you talk about certificates and people applying to jobs and those kind of things, then it will make a difference if it's coming from a well-known institution.
Oh, I see what you mean. I hadn't thought of it that way. I was actually thinking of it in terms of like what will actually push e-learning mainstream. You know what I mean? And in a sense, I was like, what would be some of the things that might make e-learning like as ubiquitous, say, as, oh, hey, I was at school this afternoon. Oh, hey, I had like an e-learning session in my bedroom this morning. Like I'm trying to imagine what would take Africa, or like a typical market in Africa, to the point where that is as normal as jumping into a taxi to go to school.
Yeah, it's a combination of the delivery mechanism and also the content. Like most online courses that I've followed are pretty boring, and it really takes a lot of effort to stay focused and to really listen. And so what we try to do with the
thanks, Bertil. No pressure now.
What we try to do is to keep the video short and also to have a lot of different people talking about the same topic. Those kind of things. But the success for online learning will be, I think, that it's super easy to do it on your mobile phone, to have interesting content that is mixed, so different types of learning, not just watching videos, not just reading, not just doing quizzes, but to get that right combination. And
not just watching Andile.
Not just watching Andile's face. Oh, I've been watching your face for a long time.
I know this. I know. It's horrible.
Process. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. So many takes.
No, it was fun.
And yeah, we're all caught up, Bertil. Really, actually, your first time on the show, interestingly, come to think of it.
Yeah, I think Ben has been on the show.
Yeah, he's a homie on the show or something.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Pleasure, Bertil. Cheers, man.